Hello. We were talking about Joseph and Jacob's sons, and in particular, the story of Joseph. And man, when Jacob saw Joseph, oh, they were just, oh man, it was so wonderful. It was so wonderful. They just hugged and cried, and now Joseph's got two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. He's got two sons now. Okay. And he was just so excited. He was like, man, I thought I'd never see you again. And here it is. Look at you. Look how blessed you are. The God has blessed you. And Jacob was now starting to understand, remembering the blessings with Abraham. You shall be a great mighty nations will come out of you. All of the blessings. Here come Abraham, Isaac, now Jacob's sons, Joseph, and here we go. The blessings were going on, and you know what I mean. And they were so excited and stuff, and it was it was quite a situation. And then now Pharaoh finds out, and Pharaoh's like, and Joseph introduces Jacob, his dad, into Pharaoh. And Pharaoh's like, man, you're an old man, man. You're an old dude, man. So then Pharaoh has this big big thing going on out there, and everybody and stuff. And this here is Joseph's family. They came all the way from the Canaan and this whatever, and they're going to be living here and stuff. And Joseph hooked it up where they lived in the land of Goshen. And that was like the best land of Egypt in that area. They lived there and stuff. And that's a wonderful story. And at one point, Joseph wanted Jacob, his dad, to bless the two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And remember the blessings that Abraham gave Isaac. Isaac gave Jacob. It was supposed to be Esau, but he gave it to Jacob. Now Jacob is now going to give his blessings to Joseph and his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Okay. And he said, look at you, man. Jacob said to Joseph, look at you. I thought I'd never see you again. But the Lord now, not only have I seen you, but the Lord has allowed me to see your seed as well. Okay, so he brought his sons in, and he was going to bless them. And Manasseh was the oldest, Ephraim was the younger. And he said, okay, and he's going to bless them and give them the blessings. Instead of putting his right hand on Manasseh's head, the oldest head, he put his right hand on Ephraim's head and put his left hand on Manasseh's head, crossing his hands. And Joseph said, oh, no, this is the oldest, and this is the youngest. And Jacob said to him, no, I know that Manasseh is the oldest, and Ephraim is the younger, but the younger shall serve the older. Remember what I told you a long time ago? After Adam and Eve, or after Cain and Abel, all stories. The older shall serve the younger. That was just a biblical thing because of what happened with Cain and Abel. So he got his hands crossed, and he gave them the blessings. Okay? All right. Then right after that, Jacob calls all of his sons in because he's getting ready to die. And he calls in all of his sons to give them all the major blessings of Israel itself. Okay? And I'll read to you those blessings and curses. And I'll try to explain to you why. Because in the other video I told you, they pull some little moves here, but it's going to come back to bite them later on. Here go those blessings. Okay. This is all in Genesis chapter 49. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the last days. Gather yourselves together, and hear you, sons of Jacob, and hear unto Israel your father. The first son, Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable like water, you shall not excel, because you went unto your father's bed and defiled it, and went up unto my couch. Then there's next ones. Simeon and Levi are brethren, instruments of cruelty are in your habitations. O my soul, come thou not into their secret, your little secret that you had, unto their assembly, mine honor. But not thy united. For in your anger you slew a man, and in your self-will they dug down a well. Actually, two things that happened with them. Two things would happen with these two. Okay, one was, I told you about what happened with Dinah, the sister, and how what's the name, raped her, and they pulled that stunt to kill all the men. You know what I mean? Had all the men be circumcised, and when they were soft and really sore, their men came and killed them all as a revenge for their sister Dinah. That's the first thing. But then also it says here, self-will, they dug down a wall. This was them putting Joseph down into the well. Okay, and he could, and of course Jacob. So apparently Jacob found out what really happened to Joseph. Y'all sent him down. Y'all didn't like him. You resented your own brother, and you sent him down. You put him down in a well, and you sold him into Egypt. And that's why he's telling them now what happened. Okay. Cursed be your anger, for it was fierce, and your wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be like a rock. Your hand shall be a neck. Your hand shall be in the neck of your enemies. Thy father, the children, shall bow down unto thee. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stood down and he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up. Then he gives this little prophecy right here. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet until Shiloh comes. All right now. And unto him shall the gathering of thy people be. Shiloh, he's talking about something that's very important. But Shiloh, that's Jesus. Jesus, in other words, they don't know this right now, but our Father's going to be using Judah to bring his son into the world. Even though at first we're going to think that Joseph is going to get this blessing because of what he did, and his sons Manasseh and Ephraim, but things are going to happen later on in history that they're going to do some crazy things, and it's going to end up going to Judah in the end. Binding, this is continuing talking about Judah. Binding his fowl unto the vine, and his ass's colt unto the choice vine. He washed his garments in vine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. Okay, and his eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth shall be white with milk. Next son, Zebulun, thou shalt dwell at the haven of the sea, for a haven of ships, and for the border he shall be unto Zidon. Issachar is a strong ass crouching down between two burdens. And he saw that the rest was good, and that the land, that it was pleasant. He bowed his shoulder to hear, and became a servant unto tribute. Next son, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in a path that bindeth the horse's heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. I have waited for the salvation of the Lord. Okay, next son. Gad, a troop shall overcome you, but you shall overcome them in the end. Next son. Asher, out of Asher the bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Next son. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words. Next son, Joseph. Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well, whose branches run over the wall. The archers shall sorely grieve him and shoot at him and halt him. And they hated him. But his bough abide in strength, and his arms and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty men, the God of Jacob. From thence is a shepherd, the stone of Israel. See, that's what he thought right there. He thought that the stone of Israel, the shepherd, Jesus, is going to come through Joseph. But even Jacob didn't know right here that Joseph's sons are going to act up later on, and it's not going to go to them. It's going to end up going to Judah. Okay. Even by the God of thy father, who shall help thee, by the Almighty, who shall bless thee, talking about Joseph, and whose blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep, and that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb. Okay, last son, Benjamin. Benjamin shall like a raving wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. Okay, and that's the blessings and curses that came to those 12 brothers. Okay, now, so Joseph goes on. Okay, and everything is cool, and then the Pharaoh, who was cool with Joseph, man, you were old, and with his dad Jacob, man, you were old, man. How old are you? And Jacob was like, I'm old. I've been around. Jacob was like 110, maybe 110 to 120 years old. He said, man, look at you, old dude, man. Anyway, all right, this good Pharaoh dies. And another Pharaoh took over. And this Pharaoh, he was a whole nother story. And he wanted to get with his council and the men and stuff, and they were like, these children of Israel, because now by this time, Israel, they're now mingling, Joseph and his brothers are now mingling with the Egyptians, and they're all having children together, and they're there with their people, and they're having children and people this, that, and the other, and some of them are mixing along with the Egyptians, but primarily though they're with themselves, and they're living in Goshen, and they're dwelling there and having children and their own thing, and by the time this new Pharaoh takes over, now there are a whole lot of folk, to the point where they're almost more than the Egyptians. And the Pharaoh and his council, the new Pharaoh and his council men get together. We got to figure out what to do with these Israelites. They're becoming a problem. And he says, well, and they come up with different ideas and things and stuff. Until one guy says, we could make them slaves. We'll make them slaves, and and they can, till the ground and till the land and this, that, and the other. And that became the consensus, that they will now make Israel slaves. And this go back, remember, a long time, I told you about a long time ago when Abraham fell into a deep sleep. And the Lord showed him the darkness and told him that these years are going to come, 400 and some odd years are going to come, where Israel is going to be taken captivity and slaves. Here's the fulfillment of it. Next thing you know, the word went out. The Israelites became slaves unto the Egyptians. And 400 and some odd, these years are going to now start coming. And they're going to make them slaves. They're going to build the pyramids and build all the various things. And they're going to do this through hard, horrible, terrible, horrible slavery, which is going to bring us to the next story getting ready to come around the corner. Okay? That was the story of Joseph. The next story is going to be a very juicy story, a story you all know about, that comes from this. And I'm hoping that you'll see the connection. See, your pastors don't tell you these stories like this here, so you can see the connection. I don't know how many times I've told these stories and somebody said to me, oh, that's how that story got connected. I didn't know that. Oh, so that's how that one turned into that, or this one, this happened or that happened or whatever. Okay. So the next story is getting ready to come around the corner, and it's a wonderful story. It's a strong and powerful story, but it's coming around the corner next. I hope you'll enjoy. You take care, and until the next video, take care. God bless. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.